Today, Eric Adams announced he won't be running for re-election. 4 years ago, he ran on a promise to working-class New Yorkers, to deliver both safety and justice, to bring the voices of the outer boroughs into City Hall. Instead, he raised their rents, slowed their buses, and cut funding for their schools, libraries, and childcare. A city that was already hard has become nearly impossible for those who call it home. But a new day is coming. Over the past year, tens of thousands of you have built the biggest grassroots campaign our city has ever seen. You have knocked on millions of doors, all to make the city affordable. In just over 5 weeks, we will turn the page on the politics of big money and small ideas and deliver a government every New Yorker can be proud of. And to Andrew Cuomo, you got your wish. You wanted Trump and your billionaire friends to help you clear the field. But don't forget, you wanted me as your opponent in the primary too. And we beat you by 13 points. Looking forward to doing it again on November 4th. Hope you're well.
Goddamn, get off my Diesel. Damn. Get off my Diesel. Goddamn, get off my Diesel. Damn. Get off my Diesel. Damn. Damn. Diesel. Damn. Damn. Diesel. Damn. Damn. Diesel.
Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm your host, the conservative libertarian here, and we got another one for you, baby. If you guys do not know, we have a mayor's race going on in New York City. Mr. Zohran Mamdani going up against Mr. Cuomo. Eric Adams was in the race as well, but he recently dropped out of the race because if you've seen the polling, you can tell that he's definitely not winning this race, and pretty much neither is Cuomo. Since he is now dropped out, this does give probably a boost to Cuomo for him to be able to maybe have a chance to beat Zohran Mamdani. We're gonna go ahead and get into this video of Zohran Mamdani explaining his thoughts over the whole situation of Eric Adams dropping out of the race. Let's see what they had to say out here. Let's go.
Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and even Curtis Sliwa. Here's what Adams said earlier in a video announcing the end of his campaign.
Despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign. The constant media speculation about my future and the campaign finance board's decision to withhold millions of dollars have undermined my ability to raise the funds needed for a serious campaign. I hope you will see that despite the headlines and innuendo, I always put you before me, always.
And joining us exclusively for his first live sit-down interview since the shakeup in the race, Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee in the New York City mayoral race. Great to have you back here on the set. We got to say that we weren't expecting to have you here, so we really appreciate you making time because of the news. I'll start broadly by getting your reaction to the fact that Eric Adams, who was polling fourth, has dropped out, and what this means for the race going forward.
Look, Donald Trump and his billionaire donors may be able to determine the actions of Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, but they will not dictate the results of this election. This continues to be the same election as it was when we started on October 23rd, a choice that New Yorkers have between Eric Adams' record, which is Andrew Cuomo's agenda, one that has priced New Yorkers out of what is now the most expensive city in the United States of America, or our vision for a city that New Yorkers can actually afford. And I'm excited and just as confident as I was yesterday.
I will say real quick, this guy is like on it. Like, if you see how quickly he's like responding to like these questions, he's on it. He's definitely in tune with what's going on, and he's definitely here to win. Now, the whole thing with him being the mayoral candidate, I'll have to say, like, you know, for New York to even think about, you know, even going the socialist route, very, very telling of where that city is at and how much that city has been, you know, struggling. Their economy, basically, you know what I'm saying? It's damn near unaffordable. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's unattainable, really, to even live in New York. I can never even fathom living in New York just because of how expensive it is. Like, all the stories that I've heard from New York City is that it's hella expensive and there's hella crime. So I'm good. I already got enough crime as it is living in, you know, Missouri, and, you know, living in, you know, one of the biggest metropolitan cities in the state. There's crime in all major big cities and stuff like that. So I'm already knowing, living in New York where, you know, taxes is crazy, and then, you know, rent's crazy, and then on top of that, crime's crazy. It's like, fuck no. We'll see what happens with New York. We'll see.
Actually delivering that vision and winning this race on November 4th.
Do you have a sense of what's behind this decision today? We've all heard that Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, claims that he's been offered large sums of money from powerful people to get out of the way. Do you think that's what's happened here?
No, I think we have to put this in a larger context where after we beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points in the Democratic primary, he called Donald Trump to ask what they could do together to defeat our campaign in the general election. And Donald Trump has spoken time and again about how he wants to narrow this race, how he wants to use every tool at his disposal to try and stop this campaign for affordability. And we're seeing amidst all of that here yet again the moment where he is shaping this race, but we're going to show him that New Yorkers are tired of his politics and they're tired of being priced out of the city.
Eric Adams had a warning for New Yorkers in his parting message, and I want to play that and have you respond on the other side.
I must also sound a warning. Extremism is growing in our politics. Our children are being radicalized to hate our city and our country. Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos.
What do you make of that message? Do you feel that that's directed towards you and is not so veiled swipe at your Muslim heritage, but also your position, some of your policy positions? What's your response to that?
Well, I think that the only thing I truly find to be extreme is Eric Adams' record. This is a man who's raised the rent on more than 2 million New Yorkers by 12%, a man who slowed down already the slowest buses in the country, one who priced New Yorkers out of childcare that cost them about $25,000 a year. That's what's extreme. That's what's radical. And our vision to deliver affordability, it's common sense, and we're seeing that it's popular across the 5 boroughs. And what I actually think of more in Eric Adams' parting words are the ones that he gave us a few weeks ago, where he assembled a number of cameras and spoke to them directly, that Andrew Cuomo is a liar and a snake. And I think that New Yorkers are tired of that kind of politics. They're tired of considering the architect of this affordability crisis and Andrew Cuomo as being the next mayor of the city. They want a new direction.
I just want to know, has socialism worked anywhere else in the world? Like, I need to know. I need to find out, has socialism ever worked? I basically just got a little bit of a breakdown, and basically what it's telling me, it says the modern representation of socialism right now that we can see today, we have Cuba, a socialist state with limited market reforms. So I mean, if you can take that what you want to take that with. If you want to live in Cuba, if you want to live in socialism, go live in Cuba. Like, you can go experience that firsthand and see how that actually is, and see if you actually like it in Cuba. Go over to Vietnam and China and see how well you're welcomed over there in China. Bolivia and Venezuela attempted 21st century socialism with mixed results. Bolivia has had some success in reducing poverty, while Venezuela has suffered economic collapse. So, I mean, they have more issues than just reducing poverty in New York. You know what I'm saying? It's more it's more about building more houses, affordability, groceries and social services that aren't expensive to use in their cities and stuff like that. There's a lot more to reduce than just poverty. So Bolivia and Venezuela, go live over there and see how you like it over there. They haven't really been successful. A lot of these countries are not successful. Yeah, socialism has never really worked, really, ever, anywhere. So, like I said, him coming out and being a democratic socialist, like I said, the newer people, they're eating that shit up. They're eating it up. So, I'm just saying, but I just don't know in practice how that actually works. We haven't seen it done in practice. And every time we've seen it, it fails.
In this city were very clear about they wanted to consolidate this race to have it between you and Andrew Cuomo. Does that crystallization, you think, breathe life into the campaign of Andrew Cuomo? He welcomed Eric Adams dropping out, and there's a lot of questions as to whether or not he will now get an cash injection of money from donors, the Bill Ackmans of the world, who wanted to see Eric Adams out, and then a consolidation of resources behind Cuomo. Do you think that will do anything whatsoever in this race for Cuomo?
You know, it reminds me of what Andrew Cuomo wanted in the primary. He wanted me to be his main opponent, and he got that, and we beat him by 13 points. And that was in spite of around $30 million being spent against us to smear and slander our campaign. And I have no doubt that he will see an influx of donations from Donald Trump donors, the very ones who have been trying to coax these other candidates out of the race. But I continue to be confident that New Yorkers can see through that, and they understand that this is a democracy. It's not something to be bought by an oligarchy. And no matter the attempts of people who are willing to spend more money than I would ever tax them, we are going to show that this is a city that deserves to be one that New Yorkers can afford.
But with the race being a little bit wider now, does that change at all the calculation? Because now it's not just the primary, it's not just Democratic members who can vote in the primary. It's going to be wider in the city.
Well, you know, the affordability crisis impacts New Yorkers regardless of their politics. Right. I've met Republicans, I've met unaffiliated voters, I've met voters who are registering to vote now for the first time, and they tell me the same issues that Democrats spoke to me about. Their rent, their childcare, public transit, the fact they just can't afford this city. And I know that this is an agenda that will speak to the despair, the disappointment that many New Yorkers have had with politics and politicians. And I understand that, because if Andrew Cuomo is the only example you had of a politician, why would you believe in them either? Our job is to show them there's an alternative.
All right, I'm not going to watch the rest of that video, but like I said, I don't know of any socialism or any type of socialist state that is actually operating in the United States that is actually as successful as as he's claiming this is going to be. And most of his policies center around taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers in that state and refunneling that into businesses. I don't like when I hear about money being repurposed into things if it doesn't really I want to say actually help people, the poor. It can still help people who maybe are elderly or ill or stuff like that. Like, it can help those type of people get the help that they need to be able to make sure they have a comfortable situation going on. But what he's trying to do, right, he's trying to implement like government grocery stores, which, if you know anything about government grocery stores, they tend to not work. There was one in my city that actually didn't work. They put millions of dollars into that thing, and if it can't operate there by itself, just by itself and without any government assistance, then that store probably does not need to be there. Okay. And if people have to drive a little bit further to get their stuff, that's what it's going to have to be. Some cities, are just not meant for that. Some areas are just not going to be good for that, depending on whether there's high crime or people are just not shopping there as much. If they're not making a good turnover, then the store it's not going to do well. The cost of living in New York, I don't know how you would do that on an economic scale, because like taxing, I don't know if taxing more wealthier people is going to lower rent. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how it's possible, but you guys let me know in the comments down below, right? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the video, man. And yeah, we are growing every day. Yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.